What up? What up? What up? College hoops, coast to coast. We're back. Skinn in the building. If you don't know the name, enter it in Google. You'll find out a lot of great things. So let's just go straight back to the playing days, man. We're gonna go straight back to the playing days. Um, how did you like just to start hooping? Like obviously you didn't play at the high major level, but your team went as far as you could possibly go, and you're a legend in the NCAA tournament eyes. Talk a little bit about just growing up playing, how you ended up going, where you did college wise, and then tell us about that journey real quick.
Yeah, I mean, it's been fortunate, man. Obviously I grew up in the Washington D.C. area, which is rich of basketball.
Right.
But at the time, you didn't have all these different segues of exposure with the EYBL or the Under Armour circuit or the Adidas. It was really just one big conglomerate in D.C., which was D.C. Assault.
Right.
And if you weren't playing with DC Assault, you tend to get overlooked. And that was kind of my deal. And then I ended up going to a junior college out in Texas in Blinn College. And, I was a non-qualified coming out of high school. Went to Blinn for a year.
I knew I liked you. I
then,
didn't even know you went to Blinn. I didn't know
oh,
that
you
part
didn't
of the
know
story.
that?
I didn't know that part of the
Yeah.
story.
Yeah, I went to Blinn for a year, man. That's when I started to, without me knowing it, man, I was getting ready for my coaching career in
Right.
no man's land.
I love JUCO roots.
So
Anytime you have JUCO roots, we got a whole different respect for you on this show.
yeah, man. Nah, it ain't all ain't always been pretty, man. Um, but that was an experience for me that I still cherish, man, because I had to fight through some adversity.
Right.
Being a kid from DC, really leaving on a hunch just to go somewhere and try to figure it out and give myself a chance. And it wasn't an easy transition from there. Ended up leaving and coming back home, back to DC. And at that point, I didn't know if I wanted to continue hooping because I didn't have a great experience there. And I just remember coming home for the summer and I just locked back in, man. And the growth that I had that sophomore summer going into my sophomore year, I ended up going back to a different junior college, which is Hagerstown Community College, which is right outside of Allegheny County. And back then, they were pretty competitive. You don't get too many competitive JUCOs back east like you
Mhm.
do, in the Midwest and down south in Florida. But back then, Allegheny was competitive, Hagerstown was competitive, and I was in state, so I ended up just kind of going there on my own, paying my own way, paying tuition and stuff. And
Right.
one thing led to another. I ended up being like the best player on the team, and my recruitment from high school kind of picked back up. Um, you guys still there? I think I lost you
Yeah,
guys.
we still here. We still here.
Okay, there you go.
We still here. We just had you in a
Fast
solo.
forward, man.
We giving you the ISO
Yeah,
real quick.
I thought I was interviewing myself, man.
Yeah.
um, and so I ended up, funny story, man. I ended up getting, the recruitment picked back up from high school, some of the schools that were recruiting me. Um, and then the funniest thing happened. I had a conversation with Coach Larinaga and his staff. They came in one day and they were like, "Hey, we really like what you can do. Think you can help us. You technically don't have to, play, another year for us to evaluate you and, offer your scholarship. We take you." And so like a light bulb hit me, man. And, I was being recruited by, Georgetown, Virginia Tech, some schools out west. But I just knew what the value of having 3 years did at the time. I didn't really
Right.
know, but I thought it felt right. And so I ended up being the manager for a year at Hagerstown. Pissed my
Wow.
coach off, man. Coach
How
Keys,
about
I
that?
apologize if you ever watched this interview. I know he was pissed. um, but it was arguably one of the best decisions I made, and ended up sitting out that year. It was a long year of no hoops and just trying to focus on academics and getting my degree or whatever. And ended up signing with George Mason, get the Mason with 3 years. Sophomore year, which was technically my freshman year there, it was a whole lot of learning that I had to go through because in high school I just didn't get that coaching. I was just a hooper, man. I didn't even know what I was doing. When you're 5'11" and 3/4, people don't really like care how good you are,
Right.
especially when you're under the radar.
Right.
And so for me, it wasn't like I had this red carpet of, people telling me I was going to make it, this, that, and the third. I just love playing the game. And, I was a dog. And so that just led to those opportunities. And I ended up at George Mason. And about halfway through my sophomore year, I was given the responsibility of being a starter, man, and just didn't turn back. And that led us to the Final Four, which
Mm,
created so many different opportunities for me, as a pro and then eventually as a coach.
I love it. I love it. T Skin. I should probably pass the mic to my boy Kevin Sweeney, so I'll let him.
Yeah, I was muted. I don't know what the heck's going on. I'm struggling with a tactic smile. But I guess my question off of that would be like, how much did your experience of not being recruited heavily, falling in and out of love with basketball, struggling in, early in JUCO, influence your desire to want to coach and want to be able to, help young people through this kind of period in your life where you were, struggling at points?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing for me is just just getting a dose of like adversity at an early age. And it wasn't just always hoops, it was other things too that led to, having to go to junior college and just having to go, the long route or go through the back door. Those experiences for sure. In the back of my mind, I just knew that, when I was done playing, whenever that was, I wanted to just find a way to just kind of impact kids that, more or less, whether they're like me or whether they had the same upbringing, didn't really matter. But there's just a certain side of like mentorship that you do bring to the table when you're one, not too far removed from the process that they're going through as young, student athletes. But also just the side of, you know, everyone runs their own race. Some guys start out as 5-star guys and, end up nowhere. And some guys start out as just, complete unknowns and end up somewhere. And so, just having that opportunity to just be able to mentor different guys from different type of backgrounds, like I always knew that I wanted to be a part of something that would allow me to kind of give my experience, which ultimately, especially when you play the point guard position, man, it's really just coaching. So,
I really can't deal with this mute button. We've been doing these Zooms for what, a year and a half? Still can't figure it out. 2 years. But anyway, I guess, for you moving to Ohio State this offseason, talk about your experience kind of joining one of the most really iconic brands in college athletics, not just college basketball, but college athletics as a whole. It is an institution. It is, powerful beyond belief. Its name resonates everywhere, not just in the United States. Can you just kind of the experience of being at a place like that and maybe the ways it's changed or not changed your outlook on college sports as a whole?
No, I mean, it's I remember when I first got kind of like a soft text about the potential of, well, first of all, you know, I'm one of those guys that I pay attention to certain things and I don't pay attention to certain things. It's like for 6 months, I'm pretty active on like Twitter. I'm looking for stuff because that's kind of become, our new newspaper, right? Um, but when it comes to like jobs and, different people moving around, like I tend to like, I just take that information as it comes. And sometimes I miss a lot of stuff because of that. And oh, you got our deal rolling right now while I'm talking. Right, you trying to distract me.
Man.
um, when I had that opportunity, when I first got the text, I just immediately got like excited without really knowing that the job had been open for a while. The position had been open for a while. And so I got the text and then I went back and I looked and I was like, okay, yeah, the assistant position that opened up, like this guy's been gone. He's been gone for weeks. And typically, you know how this stuff works, man. Like you kind of know if you're in a mix for a job, and you also know when it like becomes public that things, probably already have done. But I just remember being excited when I got the text, like, man, I would love to, have this type of an opportunity. And a couple of days go by, days turn into weeks, and then it just became a reality for me. And it was like I didn't really get a chance to really like take it in until really our first football game, because we were just on the ground running in June. We had a ton of visits. In July we were going on the road, and August we had a little bit of downtime and a little bit of vacation time, and then next thing you know, it's football season. And we're right back to recruiting and getting guys on campus. And I played at a non-football school at George Mason. I spent a little bit of time at a football school down there, La Tech, which is, smaller dose of obviously what I'm in the mix with now. But really, essentially, Seton Hall, no football. So, that game against Oregon was my first time really getting a chance to see the program, the brand for what it was, which I still believe is one of the best programs in college sports in general. Growing up as a kid, you look at certain programs that stick out to you, and Ohio State is definitely one of them. So my perspective, before I took the job and now that I'm on the job, is still the same.
Kind of looking ahead to this year's group, as the newcomer on staff with a team that has a lot of guys back, obviously a new backcourt with Jamari Wheeler from Penn State and Cedric Russell from Louisiana, also adding some freshmen who are exceedingly talented. What have been the biggest things you've learned about your team, since you stepped foot on campus that someone who is not around it every day or as a fan, as a person who loves the Big Ten, what would they want to know about this team that you've been able to learn?
Man, it's how hard these guys work. I know sometimes it's cliche that that's like the generic thing to say as coaches, man, like our guys work, but the honest truth is just how hard these guys work and how much pride they take into just all the different sessions that we have, whether it's strength and conditioning, whether it's yoga, whether it's individual skill training, or whether it's like a team skill. Like these guys are really, really invested, and I think that's what's unique about this level, because these guys have so much pressure on them where a lot of them are coming in as some of the best high school players in the country, and to see them just kind of show up every day, it's definitely something that as a coach, it makes your job a lot easier. And we've again, I'm not saying it's just to say we got a really, really good group of guys, from the first guy all the way down to our walk on. We only have one walk on. Thanks to COVID, we've got some guys that have, extra eligibility. We're actually losing, I think on paper, we're going to lose 8 guys. So
Wow.
it's a huge turnover for us. But just the collective group and, how hard they work, man. I think that's been, it's been a blessing to just be a part of it as I learn and, learn certain things that, kind of gets them going. Because every place is different, every culture is different, and every player is different. So really just trying to find that balance has been it's been fun for me.
What would you say about Coach? Obviously he's kind of climbed up the ranks, right, as a head coach, which you see guys like you see other guys, Chris Beard or other guys who have moved up the ranks, kind of from that low mid, then they go high. What is it that's enabled Coach to have so much success, and what is it you think that makes him such a good basketball coach?
I mean, I would say the biggest thing is just detail. Sometimes we see things from the outside, and we're always questioning, like, dang, how did that happen, or how did this person get here? But I think you have to respect the separation of detail. And in my short time of being here, I mean, I got the job in late May. And I just remember the interview process, and I've been through some of these processes before. I mean, I was on like 3 or 4 processes at the same time when I got the Ohio State opportunity. So it was just a little bit different. And I've said this in all my interviews. The details of like how we talk to each other, what he knew, there's some things that you can go on the internet and find out, right? But then there's some things that that you've done your due diligence about. And just being able to be on the phone with them. And it wasn't like an interview, like, hey, I know these things about you. You want to tell me more? It was more so like, I don't know you, but everybody that I've spoken to knows you. And these are the things that I've heard. And it was just easy to talk to him and in learning him, I learned that he was just like a detailed person. Right. And then you arrive on campus and you start doing the job and you're like, okay, no knock to any other place, because those guys were, you learn a little bit of something from everywhere. But the one thing that just kind of still, rings a bell for me every day, especially now that we're in season and we're practicing every day,
Right.
and just getting ready for, obviously, hopefully a wonderful season of, expectations. You see what he does every day, from the detail standpoint, and just making sure that everybody's on point, knowing what they're doing. I can't be great. We can't be great if I'm not great.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then if I'm not great, our players can't be great. So
Right.
he's just a very detail oriented person and just really an easygoing guy as well. That makes a difference.
No doubt. Kevin's the Big Ten guy. I don't know if you noticed. Kevin graduated from Northwestern just last year.
Okay.
So he's been covering Big Ten. He just got hired with Sports Illustrated. So
Hey man, you guys got a stud, man, by the way, in Rowan Brombar.
Yes.
I'm a big fan of Rowan. Rowan is from the DC area. Rowan plays on the same AAU team that my son actually plays for. Same different age group, the same team. So I've known Rowan for a while, and that's a steal for Northwestern.
Yeah, but then that's again, that's, I think, talking about the league. I think you're still getting accustomed to it, and you'll experience it fully this year. I think the things that stand out to me every year is that, like, the quality of recruiting that's done in the league, both with elite recruits, like guys ranked in the top 50, right? Like a Hunter Dickinson or, an EJ Liddell was a top 60, top 70 guy, but also the guys into the, 100 range, like a Rowan, or, there are guys on every team that the evaluation by the staffs that they've done to go find these kids and turn them into outstanding 4-year players. Like a Luka Garza was 121st in 24/7.
I coached Luka. I know.
Yeah, you know better than I do. Then
I was in the gym with Luka. Like, who is this big dude, man? He should be flipping lumberjack somewhere, man.
But the way that the league consistently evaluates talent, I think, has set it apart year over year. And I can't wait to watch it again this year. I think for you guys, for you as a coach, and for you as you guys as a staff, how do you prepare your players for a league that's so balanced year over year? I mean, there's so many teams. Like last year, there was, I think, 12 of the 14 teams were ranked at one point during the season. How do you prepare your team for the gauntlet like that during off-season prep in August and September? How do you prepare your team for that grind that's coming?
I think it's just understanding that, like, in order to be successful, man, in order to accomplish all the individual goals and all the team goals, I think it's just important to understand the process of being just an everyday guy. Those summer workouts might be might feel meaningless, but the actuality is that, like, if you're not getting better every day, you're getting worse. You know what I mean? And that's from an individual standpoint, but also that's the team, from the team standpoint as well. And having a group that understands that, because you can feel it when you're in the gym with guys that are dogging it.
Right.
But you can also feel it in the gym when you're with guys that, like, really take it serious. And having that understanding from top to bottom. We got a couple older guys too that get it. Because in a normal world where COVID didn't exist, these guys are now venturing off into whether it's the next level, or whether it's getting a job, or whatever it may be. And so when you have those guys that are kind of like your leaders, it makes it a little bit easier to get them to just buy in from, like, day one all the way to day 120 something, when we start actually seeing it coming into fruition. So I just think the buy-in is big time.
All right, last one before you go. We like to do a little something here on Coast to Coast, so we keep it light, keep it a little funky. You know what I mean? So you got to tell us either a funny story or a good story of something behind the scenes. It can be your playing career, coaching career. It can be this team. It can be one of the teams in the past. It can be you coaching your son. You know what I mean? It can be anything you got. Anything you got.
Man, you did give me the heads up earlier when we spoke, and I didn't even have 2 seconds to think about this story. Let me think here, man. Give me a second, man. A funny recruiting story.
Any story. It can be fatherhood story, just anything entertainment that gives us behind the scenes to either you or the team, whatever you got.
I'm trying to give you something good, man. I don't want to leave you guys dry. Hold on, let me think here, man. Man.
Some of them aren't always appropriate for air. You know what I mean? I get that.
Yeah,
So
of course.
that's what makes it hard. We know you got them. It's just
No, I honestly, man, I'm tapping out right now because I'm trying to come up with something.
probably fatherhood is the best ones, man. You got a son. I'm sure he tries to play you one-on-one, talk trash, tell you why
Yeah,
you're good. You know what I mean?
yeah, but that's not interesting though. I'm trying to
Yeah,
do something.
that's regular.
Our,
Yeah,
our,
that's
our, our guy Dwayne Broussard on our show earlier, he said his story was him forgetting pants, and he brought his son's pants by accident to a game, and so his wife had to deliver him pants mid-game. So
Oh.
yeah,
it's a high bar to reach, I gotta say.
yeah, I haven't had that. I haven't had that issue. I mean, I guess one of the let me see here. I guess an interesting one. I won't say it's like super exciting. Is that basketball? You know, obviously I've been playing. You know, I played for a while, and now that I'm coaching, I have 3 kids. I have a 15-year-old, I have an 8-year-old, and then my daughter's 2. And I guess my 8-year-old has been the only one that it was like a normal delivery, as in I didn't have to do anything crazy to like get back to my wife. My oldest son, and I'm trying to correlate the two, and I don't even know if they can be correlated, but my oldest son was born August 12th, 2006, and I had signed a contract to go overseas like a couple days prior, and they, for the love of me, they were like bugging me to come over there, like, hey, you're a rookie, we need you in training camp. Mind you, I'm 6 foot, 170 pounds, like I'm never out of shape, right? I didn't need training camp, and I basically just blew them off, like, hey, my son's about to be born in like a couple days. um I'll show up to camp 5 days later. And they're like, no, you need to come now. So anyways, I didn't show up until after he was born. He was born on the 12th. They wanted me to come like on the 6th, which made no sense. Because, my wife was having an induced labor or whatever. And I get there, and off the break, like the coach is just like mugging me for like a week straight. Didn't say a word to me, whatever you want to call it. Didn't work out. Ended up getting cut and sent home strictly because of that. And
Wow.
so that's the one story about, having a child in the middle of working. The other one is my daughter, who was born, 2 years ago, pre-pandemic. And I had just, I didn't just get the job at Seton Hall. Man, I'm forgetting stuff, man. It might have been right after, it might have been the first full summer I had gotten to Seton Hall. My wife obviously is pregnant. And she was kind of just floating around, the dates that she was going to have the baby. And it was, that's what it was. It was EYBL. It was Peace Jam. And she was supposed to have the baby like that following week after Peace Jam Sunday. And I was in there with like a couple guys, man, high level guys, like top 75 guys. And I obviously ended up going down there. And I think one of my players made it to like either the semifinal game or like the championship game.
Right.
And then I get this phone call, and like it was like in the middle of the night though, like 11 o'clock. Like, hey, I'm having this baby, whatever. So I had to get on a flight the next morning, man, and ended up missing the game. And I got to my wife and my daughter literally like 5 minutes before the whole deal went down.
That's right there.
So I think that's always something that I always remember, because I really didn't think I was going to make it. And I would have had an excuse not to make it, but I would have had to explain that to like my daughter for the rest of her life. So.
Right. I love it. Did you get the kid or did you not get the kid? You got your daughter, but did you get to recruit?
I ain't get the kid.
See, it worked out how it's supposed to.
And I probably, sometimes as coaches, you look back and you be like, man, this is why I ain't get the kid, man. If I'd have did this, I'd have got him. But most of the time, like, you wasn't getting that dude anyway, right?
Right,
so,
exactly.
I'll take that one on the chin.
No doubt. No doubt. T Skinn. Man, the legend. Appreciate you taking the time today, man. We enjoyed it. And yeah, good luck this season. And looking forward to following the Ohio State Buckeyes do their thing this year with my man.
I appreciate it, man. You got to get you some better West Coast internet service, man. You was chopping up the whole interview.
Man, what's up with that, man? Is that we getting too late, I guess, in the night? We're running out of gas over here, I guess.
Something.
Appreciate it, man. Good to see you.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it, guys.